My name is Scott Coe. I am the founder of ColourSpace. We're an arts social enterprise, and what we do is we help businesses and organisations create refreshing environments filled with art, and we do this by providing art as a service. So what we do is we bring new artwork into an office or into, say, a hospital, and we change it on a regular basis. We don't own any of the artwork, so it's all sourced from local emerging artists who share as part of our service. My social enterprise is an arts-based social enterprise, and the origin story is a little bit different. For me, my background was actually in a corporate office, and what I realized was that we had people come in and changing fake flowers in a corner, but the artwork was something that never changed, and it was too hard for people. At the same time, I talked to a lot of friends who were artists at the time, and especially emerging artists. And I realized that it was quite difficult for them to be able to share their art with the world. And they had some amazing stories and amazing perspectives that they wanted to share. And I just thought, what if I could do something that provides a meaningful service to a business whilst at the same time helping local emerging artists? Wouldn't that be something cool to be able to do? And so the social enterprise I started was around that idea. Can we do something that helps a business and also helps local emerging artists? So how I started with ColourSpace, especially from a social enterprise perspective, I think it's important to clarify, we started very much on the enterprise side of it. I really wanted to test this idea first. So what I did was I built a very simple website. I talked to maybe 5 or 6 artists just to get a sense of whether they'd be interested, got some business cards printed out, and then started contacting people. I called up businesses that I thought would be interested, which at the time was namely co-working spaces. And when I got a client who said, yes, I'd love to display some artwork and I'd love to have a change around, I thought, great. I should probably get an ABN now. I should probably get a bank account set up. And so I very much started there. And then from there, we've continued to build on finding other businesses that were interested in in being able to have artwork come through and sort of buy into the service, so to speak. And it was after that that we were then able to start looking at and making an impact for the artists too. So some of the biggest challenges we faced in the early stages of ColourSpace was really just understanding what businesses needed, what problems were we solving for a business? Because we believed in the idea. I certainly believe in the idea, that's why I'm here. But it was about conveying that to business. Providing art as a service is sort of a new concept for a lot of businesses. A lot of businesses think of art as just a decoration. And so for us to play around with a different language about how we can convey this to businesses and testing what messages work. And so from a social enterprise perspective, what's really interesting is we tested messages of this is about supporting local artists, for example. But first and foremost, the businesses had to say, well, do we even want art in their business? And so that was something we had to really figure out. And we tested just as here is new art for your office versus here is art that's supporting local artists. And we had to learn what worked and what didn't work. And also we had to learn about price points. How much could we charge for it? How much were businesses willing to pay? And as a result, how much could we also pay back to our artists? And so the social enterprise balance of this is figuring out the enterprise part first. How much can we charge for a business to make it sustainable in a way that then meant we could help local emerging artists? And so those were definitely some of the biggest challenges. Yeah, so how we communicate our why is not dissimilar to some of the learnings that we made when we first started, which is it always starts with understanding a customer's pain. So unfortunately, it kind of sucks a little bit to hear that, as we're doing business, it is about understanding our customers. If we can't talk about our customers and why it's good for them, none of the rest of the benefits come through. And so how we convey our why these days is very much we start by saying, we are ColourSpace, we are a social enterprise, but we're here to help you create vibrant workplaces that refresh your space, that refresh your people. And by the way, Everything is from local artists, and so by supporting us, you're also supporting local artists, you're supporting the art programs that we are now supporting for local disadvantaged or underprivileged communities. And so that is unfortunately, it's added value. It's a very important added value, and we now have businesses who come to us because of that. But I guess I really wanted to emphasize that sequencing of customer paying first, customer benefits, and by the way, we also do this. And that's what often gets it over the line now. So I think some of our key strengths is that our team is a nice balance of both the business-minded, i.e. myself, and people who can advocate for the artists as well. So the rest of my team, they are artists, they're very passionate about the artist space, and so I'm not forgetting about the artists by any stretch of the imagination. But at the same time, I often balance or offset some of the advocacy for art with just my perspectives as someone who is from a non-art world. I am able to sort of say to my team, I love what your message is, but no one else, if they don't have a fine art background, they're not going to understand what that means. And so some of our strengths is playing into that as well. But then going into the social enterprise element of it, I think one of the other strengths that we have is really leaning into the fact that we've learned about how we can create a sustainable business and a growing business and be able to convey that to a growing culture, a growing corporate culture that is supportive of social enterprise. Now, that is a really, really important one because social procurement is on the rise, but what it really means is that businesses are saying, we still want to get something of value. It's a commercial arrangement. We need to get something, but we want to work with people who are also doing good as a result of that. And so you'll find now some of the language is shifting from, say, pure philanthropy or corporate social responsibility to community partnerships, shared value exchange. It's not just giving money. It is saying, no, we'll get something out of it and we can convey that, and we've learned how to convey that. But then also giving the reassurance to the business, hey, yeah, we get something and we can do good, perfect. And so those are some of our strengths. I think they've been strengths that we've built up through lots of experimentation, lots of, oh, well, that didn't work out at all. Lots of going down paths that really didn't lead anywhere, but then learning about it all and building both, again, the enterprise and the social component of it. And now we're starting to see it pay off. So that's our strength, I'd say. So what we're working on now is really growing the business, growing and scaling the business. By no means we're still quite young in our journey. We've spent a lot of time getting to this point, and now we're in a position where we know what our messages are, we know how to reach our customers, and so now it's about really making it grow. For anyone who has that business mentality, you'll understand it's about getting the leads, nurturing the prospect, getting them through the sales funnel, because without demand, we can't support anything else. And so now it's about finding the right partners who can help us grow, finding people who are connected to the types of offices or the organizations that we want to work with. We know that we often want to talk to CEOs or HR directors or people in culture, office managers, community managers, all of these people that we know we need to talk to who are our target customers. Now we know how to reach them, and we're finding new ways of doing that. Because if we can hit a particular target number, which is around 50 clients for one city, we are completely sustainable. What we will have done, if we get 50 clients, about 7 to 10 pieces of artwork each, is we will have created a sustainable ecosystem. Artists will constantly have opportunities to share their art and get paid for it, whilst businesses are constantly getting a service that is benefiting people and helping more people, more Australians, engage with art. Because so many times we go to a business and the art blends into the background and everyone forgets about it. And now we're starting to see our clients go, hey, new art is coming through. And we're starting to create an even bigger community of people who can appreciate art in their own way. So that's what we're doing at the moment. We're very much focused on growth. If we can make Melbourne sustainable, then guess what? We're going to Sydney, going to Brisbane, we're going around the world if we can. And that's where we're thinking about scale. So that's what we're focused on. If we can make Melbourne sustainable and Sydney sustainable, we'll be going everywhere else. So my advice for if anyone is thinking about starting a social enterprise is really remembering there's two parts of a social enterprise. There's the social part and the enterprise part. And unfortunately, the enterprise part does have to come first, because without understanding what value you're giving, if you're selling a service or selling a product, people have to want to pay for that product. The more people who are willing to pay for that, and the more you understand what your operating costs are, what your margins are, then you can actually create, again, a sustainable way of doing the social part. And that's really important, because otherwise, especially if you don't have another job that's also paying you for your time, how is that going to work out? And if you don't think about it, then you're not going to be able to think about where can you get investment from, what kind of grant funding you can get, but even how do you bootstrap yourself upwards. So really think about both sides. The social part is really good, but understanding the enterprise part is, I would argue, just equally, if not more important. So learn about the business. There's so many wonderful and amazing resources out there now to learn about how you can start a business, how you can test things really easily, how you can do research. Use Google to just look at keyword trends and all that sort of stuff. Will people pay for something? How much are they willing to pay for it? Test it all out. And if you can convince people to pay for it on a regular basis, the social will come.